Hi, I'm Allison Waken here at Scrapbook.com, and I wanted to share with you 5 easy and my favorite ways to use Nuvo Drops. So if you've never used them before, they are just a great way to add some dimension and color, even some glitter to all kinds of projects. This first way, we are going to make just a background for a scrapbook page. This is actually one of my favorite ways because it's so easy. You can do any colors. It can work with anything, any project that you're working on. So for this one, I am going to just add some color in stripes to the 12 by 12 scrapbook page. And I have my Nuvo Drops in this color case, which is the best way to store these. You can see all of the colors. I can just pull it out. It makes it so easy to know what you're working with. So for this, I am making a background. So I'm just going to squeeze on some of the color. And this is so fun, the glitter. It's nice and thick. So you can really do details, but we're just kind of making a messy background for this one. So we're going to squeeze on the first color, grab a dauber, and just make a mess. So I'm just going to do kind of a color gradient, just play with it. Squeeze on the color. Oh, this one's so pretty. So isn't that cool? You can do shapes or patterns, all kinds of stuff. And I like to put them back in my color case right side up so I know what colors I've been working with. Look how pretty that is. And so I'm just going to add some more color. And I love that you can mix the glitter and kind of the pearl colors in there. It really adds so much fun to the background. And it's so easy. I promise you don't have to have any sort of skill to do this. The Nuvo colors really do it all. So I'm just picking colors that might go with the photos or scrapbook embellishments that I'm using, and just making a mess and having fun with it. So that's it. That's how you do it. You can mix and match colors, and I have one that's already dry over here. So I'm going to show you how I'm going to use it just to complete an easy scrapbook page. So kind of a totally different color palette. Isn't this fun? So it just adds such a nice texture and shine, and makes it super easy to throw a quick scrapbook page together. And like I said, I promise you don't have to have a special skill. It's just squirting it on and rubbing it in really on this one. But it adds just that extra bit of fun. So we're just going to make an easy page, maybe add a little bit of stamps. So what's fun is that you can add to your collection, and the color cases make it really easy to see what colors you already have. I don't know about you, but I have definitely bought the same color several times because I forget that I already have it lost in the drawer or something. But these you can display out on the shelf or set them in a drawer. Cute. So that's it. So a second favorite way that I love to use Nuvo Drops is making enamel-like dots. So those fun little scrapbook embellishments that we use on everything, you can make them with the Nuvo dots. So I'm going to make just a cute, easy little tag, and I'm going to kind of make a rainbow gradient with these Nuvo Drops. So I'm going to start with the purple. So I have them already set up in my color case in sort of rainbow order. It's a fun, bright, different color rainbow. And you're just going to squeeze it out, and you can do different sizes. And it really just kind of makes the dot itself. You don't have to do a whole lot of work. You just squeeze, and the harder you squeeze, the bigger that your dot is going to be. Super easy. And it's fun, and you kind of get addicted to doing it. So I like to make them not in any certain order. I like to mix the sizes, but you could definitely go from bigger dots to smaller dots or something like that. So I'm going to put my Nuvo dots back into the color case right side up so I know which colors I've already used. And then when I go to store them, I'll turn them back around, which is one of the reasons I love using the color case, because you're storing it upside down is preferred. So it's a little tag I figured we'll make a birthday tag. These are the projects that are so great to make when you're running out the door for a birthday party and you forgot to buy the tag. So one way that a lot of people are using them, and it's really fun, is if you do this same technique, just make enamel dots on a non-stick mat and you let them dry, you can take them off and then you can use them kind of in a shaker card or something like that. And it allows you to make your own little embellishments. Okay, so just add a little stamp in the corner. So I want it to go the correct way of the tag. So I'm actually going to be stamping it upside down, but I wanted it, I don't want to run into the dots since they're wet. And this tag is definitely all about the Nuvo Drops. Do a little yippee, and it's done. So super quick and easy. So I did mention if you put the Nuvo Drops on the non-stick mat, they'll dry and you kind of end up with your own little enamel-like dots. And then you can use them loose in projects or you can adhere them down. But isn't that fun? It's just a really easy way. So you just squeeze it just like we did on the tag onto the non-stick and let it dry, and it makes your own little enamel dots in whatever color you want. So cute. So for the third way to use the Nuvo Drops, I am going to kind of mix a couple of techniques together. So I'm using a stencil and I'm just going to apply the Nuvo Drops really thick. This is kind of a repeating pattern, so just a simple stencil. And I just want a little bit of texture and fun to the cover of this album. So I'm going to tape the stencil down just to make sure it doesn't move. And then I am going to grab a Nuvo. This is a crystal drop from my ColorCase, and I'm going to add a lot of it to each of the hearts on this stencil because I really want it to be nice and thick and add some texture. And so I'm going to add a good amount to each heart, and I'm going to lessen the amount just a bit as I go up because I kind of want it to fade out, but I want a really good texture and movement. And then I'm going to kind of squish it all in just with a foam dauber here. Grab a dauber and I'm just going to kind of dab it, move your hand around, kind of just give it some texture and motion, and it's really thick and fun, but it adds so much dimension. And it's okay if it gets underneath the stencil. It might not be perfect, especially with that motion, but it's more about the texture and color than having a perfect shape, at least for this. So I'm going to move up just a little bit so there's less in these smaller hearts here. Grab some of this paint down here. And we'll let that dry for just a minute and I'll take it off when it's still wet, but we'll give it just a minute to set. Okay, so let's take this off carefully. Like I said, it may not be perfect hearts, and that's okay. That's not really what this was about. It was more about the texture and color with a little separation. Pull that up. Okay, so perfect. So you can layer this up and with a little more mixed media and have fun with it, but I like it just the way it is. I'm going to kind of use it as the background to a title for the album, which I think maybe just this Love You, just something simple and easy, but it adds so much texture and dimension and fun to the cover of this album. Okay, so for the fourth way I am going to use the Nuvo Drops is with a stencil. So I'm going to do a couple of different techniques with the stencil, and this would be great for just an art piece or maybe for a birthday party. You can kind of decorate the center and have everybody sign the outside, obviously for a card, for wrapping paper, anything like that. So first what I'm going to do is I just have a 12 by 12 sheet of paper and a stencil, and I'm going to secure the stencil to the paper with some tape. And what I'm going to do first is kind of paint with the Nuvo Drops. So it's not going to go on as thick as like an acrylic paint, but what you want to do is add some extra paint on there to give it some texture and movement. So what I'm going to do is pick a couple different colors, and I'm going to paint just some of these small pieces of this stencil. So let's see, let's do some purple. And I'm going to go ahead and just add all my colors first, I think. Then I know where they are. So I'm just going to do a nice bit of purple. And on these, it's okay if it goes underneath on the stencil because it's more about the placement and color really than it being perfect. And I'll show you what we're going to do after. So we'll add some purple. So we have just a nice little dollop of paint there, and I'm going to grab just a small paintbrush and just move that around just a little bit. So it's not like a perfect smooth paint, it's really about the texture and the color. Pretty much just kind of moving the paint to the outside edges. It's not really filling it in. It's kind of like a stained glass paint when you kind of fill the well. That's all I'm doing here. Now maybe we'll do a little green. And I'm going to do the green here and every other. So it's just, you kind of play with the patterns depending on the stencils that you're using. Place this back in the color case. I love using the color cases with these because they display all those colors so well. And I can see how they go together as well. So I kind of like to move them around in different color cases. So if I have, a set of 4, I can move around the colors and see how they look together for different projects. To fill in the rest of the stencils for the last bit, I am actually going to spray on the Nuvo Drops. So I have just a mister filled with water, and I already squirted some Nuvo Drop in there, but I'm going to add just a little bit more to make sure it's nice and a nice pretty blue. So I'm just squeezing some into the water, and then I'm going to set this back down first, add the lid and shake it up and just spray it on. So shake that up nice. Good. Okay, and then I'm going to cover the outside so I don't get color everywhere, just where I want it to go. So now I'm going to take my Nuvo Drop spray that I made and just lightly spray the top of this stencil. I'm adding just different dark color in some spots, lighter color in some spots, just getting a nice little coating of spray. Okay, so let's take this stencil off and see if it made us a nice background for something for our project. So we've got some spray, we got some texture and color. Let's take this off. There we go. So it's kind of an abstract, fun backdrop for whatever project you want to use. Okay, so for the 5th idea of how to use Nuvo Drops is actually just using it on acrylic or glass. So what's fun about these is that you can put the paint on, and once it dries, it will come right off. So I'm going to use it to color code the top of my color case. So even though the color case holds all kinds of different paints, I love to use them for the Nuvo Drops. And this way I can color code. I know what's supposed to go where. That way if I'm taking them out or the kids take them out to make a project, you know where they go back into and exactly what that color looks like out and dried. So all that you do is you basically just use the drops on the glass or acrylic, let it dry, and then it can come right off. So I'm just going to make a nice big dot. And it's so easy, you just squeeze it on there. And I'm going to let it dry. So what's fun about this is that you can do this at home, like on a sliding glass door or on your mirrors for a party, or maybe just a little love note, or have a good first day of school. And it kind of makes a fun little piece of memorabilia, and you can take it off and use it in a scrapbook album later. So just gonna make a nice big dots. So I'm just setting them back in upright so that I can see what I've used. which is another thing that I love about using the ColorCase, is that I can store them upside down, which is an ideal way to store them. And then when I'm using them, they sit in there nicely right side up. Just making nice little dots. Aren't these pretty? So they make nice little enamel-like dots. This one. And that's it. So once it's dry, it'll peel right off, and you can even make little words out of your Nuvo Drops. And it doesn't have to be perfect. You can just have fun with it, but it comes right off, and you can use it later in projects or crafts, or I like to throw it in like a traveler's notebook or a daily album, and just use it like a little piece of embellishment. Thanks for watching. If you like this video and want to see more from Scrapbook.com, please like, share, subscribe, and leave a message. Happiness is life handmade.